Hi, Supermom. Elena here, your mommy tantrum specialist. And I'm coming with an episode today that will be a little bit different. We will be talking about getting the stress out of your body. And I'm going to share with you why that's worthy of your attention. And then I'm going to share some of the tips, what has worked the best, the most with me so far. So it will be full of links and rabbit holes you can go ahead and get lost in. But all of that is coming really from the intention of getting you help, like helping you get the stress out of your body. So why is it so important? First of all, if you're listening to this podcast, you might have come here because you want to stop yelling at your kids, right? You're a busy, overwhelmed supermom. There are so many things you should be doing. There's no time to lose. And if you add up the kids on top, not listening and making it even more difficult to be on time and get everything done, they are not cooperating. They're not listening. They keep fighting. They keep even being physical with you. Like all of this adds up to your stress, and then you're much more likely to yell. Because you notice that in the situations when you can be calmer, when there is less pressure, there is a shorter to-do list, there's more time during your day, there are less things scheduled, you are much more calmer. Your body feels much less tight. And therefore, in those moments, you are able to be a better parent for your kids. You are able to see why they are getting triggered, why they are having a tantrum, and you are much more likely to help them deal with their big emotions effectively, right? Once you're not triggered by your big emotions. Because then both of you lose it, and then it's a terrible tornado of anger and yelling, and then sadness and guilt and shame. So this is the surface level. You want to get the stress out of your body because it will help you be less of a Momzilla, a mom who yells and scares her children off. Okay. Now, what's even underneath that is the longer term impact on your body. Have you noticed? Have you noticed what the stress is doing to your system? So there are lots of moms who come to my space who are still in that hyperachiever mode. Like, let's push. I myself personally, that's where I started, right? I'm a super high achiever. I grew up with having so many high expectations on myself from all the pressure from my parents. So then I internalized it. My parents' voices became my voices in my head, pushing me, like, be a hardworking, doing as the best you can, perfectionist, controller, high achiever. Let's do as much as possible so that you prove you're worth it, you prove your place, kind of, and you prove yourself towards everybody who maybe didn't believe in you. That's who I was, and it showed up very well in my corporate career. It got me very high, very fast. But then when I became a mom, I realized this strategy doesn't work. Not only it doesn't work, it's actually killing me in my relationship with my daughter, because it completely turned around against me. Because the more I was trying to squeeze in, because I was thinking like, okay, so now I just have one more thing to do, like take care of this baby. But there was not just that. There was lack of sleep. There was the weight of this responsibility that I had 24/7. It's not like a job that you can, even with the big corporate job that spreads out through your weekends and your entire life, sometimes even nights and whatever. Having a baby is even worse. Like, this was the most difficult job in my life, and I was not ready for that. Okay. So my hyperachieving strategy, the pusher, let's just like with the discipline, let's do even more and even faster so that I can squeeze it all in, that completely backfired. So you might be in those early stages when you have a small baby or your kids are still younger and you're thinking like, I just have to push harder. I need to find better parenting strategies and more effective routines so that I don't waste my time and I'm much more effective and I can do it all. Okay, that's the first stage. The second stage, unfortunately, is when the burnout comes. So you start feeling it now physically, the impact of the stress on your body. And you're just, my moms call it, you run on fumes. So you have no energy left already since the morning because maybe you haven't slept for days because your kids are sick. And so you already wake up like dead, tired. You wish You wish you could go back to sleep and sleep at least for 48 hours. This is one of the first signs of burnout, okay? When you start losing it, like losing your patience on a not only daily basis, but even like hourly basis, when there's always something that's so annoying with everybody, including yourself, those are first signs of burnout. Okay, not to be underestimated. The next stage, unfortunately, if you're still not listening to your body, if you're still not listening to any of those signs, I have lots of moms who come to me who are already on a burnout leave. So they had to leave their jobs. They are on a medical leave. They are taking some pills. They are talking to psychologists who are specialized in burnout. Well, and unfortunately, those who come to me, it's still not working for them. So they are still yelling on at their kids. So the burnout is being taken care of a little bit. So because they're out of the job, so there's a little bit more space, less pressure, but they have not solved the reasons. They have not solved the root cause of the burnout. That's why they come to me, because they realize only by the fact that they keep yelling at their kids, even though there's less on their plate, they are still annoyed, they are still internally bothered, and the stress is still inside their body. That's why they find me and they're like, hey, there's still something, I need your help, because none of these people, none of these burnout specialists, none of those pills they are giving me, it's still not working. There's still something else I am not doing, I'm not seeing. And it looks like that's what you're doing. And yes, that's true. This is exactly what I'm doing. I'm going to the roots of it. So before I go there, I also wanted to share with you a story, because sometimes this is where the people in my space who just get to know me, like if this is the first podcast episode you have found, you might not have heard my story, how I came to this. And it is important because it ties to the stress in the body and the long-term consequences that we are talking about now. And that's the story of my mom. So trigger alert, my mom died on cancer. And as I share in all of my free trainings that I'm doing for new moms who come into my space, through all of my research and reading and everything, I started looking for the reasons, like why is it that she died on cancer? Was it just the genetics? Was it that she was smoking in her 20s? Like, was it the bad diet, because then she was so stressed out that she was not really taking care of herself? What was it? And I was eliminating one thing after another. I was getting more and more stressed myself, because after my mom died so young, I was terrified that I'm the next. And I was just bracing myself for when it's going to come. So I did a lot of research. And this is what I want to share with you, because it's also what I share on those free trainings. I tell the moms there, it is the stress that killed my mom. It is the stress that triggered her cancer. And there are lots of moms, not lots of, but some of the moms get triggered by that. They say like, this is such a simplification, and how can you say that? And we have also cancer in my family, and it's not the stress, and blah, 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 blah. So this is my personal opinion. Yes. No, I'm not a medical doctor, but I'm going to give you a link to a medical doctor, trauma specialist, addictologist, like a specialist also in addictions. His name is Dr. Gabor Mate. You will get the link in the description of this podcast. And he is the one who opened my eyes. I accidentally, you know how you're going down the rabbit holes on YouTube, and then YouTube starts giving you different suggestions based on what you've watched recently. His video, his seminar popped up once on my YouTube feed, and I just clicked on it, and my mind was blown away and my life was changed forever. When the body says no. He will explain to you. I'm not qualified to do that and give you all the reasons why. Actually, it is the stress that triggers cancer and all of the autoimmune diseases. But even before, stress is a symptom. Stress is a symptom of a childhood trauma. And childhood trauma is at the beginning of, as Dr. Gabor Mate says, like 97% of all diseases, not just cancer, but including ADHD, and I don't know what, like he gives you an entire list. I'm going to link that seminar for you so that you can go and listen to it if you don't believe me. But the link is, so we think like, okay, somebody got cancer in my family because of the genetics. You will hear the research. The genetics, we all have some kind of genetics, but even people with some genetic predispositions, they don't have to be, those cancer cells don't have to be triggered. How do they get triggered? By the stress. And then a lot of people start treating stress. That's why you might be working with a burnout specialist. But is that all? Is that helping you? No, it's not, because you don't tackle the root of the stress. Going backwards, the root of your stress, if it's a chronic stress, if it's that hyperachiever, pusher, controller, I need to prove myself, let me squeeze in as much as possible, supermom, I need to do it all as perfectly as I can. The root of that stress goes all the way back to your childhood trauma. And this is what I do. And that's why my work is so effective. So all the moms who come to me, who have gone through burnout therapy, who have gone through whatever kind of counseling, couples counseling, even classic talk therapy, they're still scratching the surface. They're still trying to just understand with their smart brain, what is it that happened? They're not going all the way to the roots. Okay? But this is not a trauma podcast. If you want to hear more about how I deal with childhood trauma, how I heal it, what are the results, how fast and effective it is and permanent, you can go to, I think in the last 15, 20 podcast episodes, I talk about a lot of this. Also, my Instagram, Facebook feed is full of client case studies, testimonials, results where you can see the numbers also. So go there, have fun. That's another rabbit hole. That's not the point of this podcast, but I just wanted to let you know, if you haven't figured it out yet, this is where your stress is coming from. So that's why also my suggestion for you is like, okay, now you understand why you want to get the stress out of your body, okay? Not only so that you start burning out right now and that you stop yelling at your kids, but in the longer term, you want to do it to prevent any diseases in the future. Unless you already have any of that, because I'm also working with lots of moms who already have cancer or who have gone through it, which is, I'm so sorry for them. It can be prevented if as soon as you start doing this work, you're lowering your risk of getting it. Okay, so that's the start. Now that you understand why it's so important, where it's coming from, and what the risks are, why it's important to start handling it as soon as possible, the step number 1 would be really do your own childhood trauma therapy. Because as they say, it's never too late to have a happy childhood. And even if you think you had a happy childhood, which I always thought I did, because on the outside, we were the perfect family. We had everything. We had a full family, even mom and dad, no divorce, no drama, nothing like this, no violence, no abuse, nothing. I thought I had and I still think I had a great childhood. But there was this developmental trauma. My mom being too busy, making me feel not good enough. You need to keep pushing harder, keep proving that you're the best daughter. I was the good girl, the pleaser, trying to accommodate for my mom's stress and anxiety. I was trying to anticipate her needs so that I could make her calmer. All of this stuff, it's a developmental trauma. It needs to be cleaned up. It is possible to do it, not with talk therapy. You need special developmental trauma methods that are effective, that are quick. It can be done, okay? Step number 1, you cannot skip this step. Okay, and if you want to know more, listen to the podcast, find my email, let me know. We can connect to see if you're a good fit for working with me. Step number 1. Step number 2, once you do that, there are lots of ways how you can get the stress out of your body, then any remaining pieces of it on a day-to-day basis in between your trauma sessions. There are lots of ways how you can get the stress out of your body yourself. Okay, so caveat here. Again, reminding you, stress is a symptom of something that didn't get healed in the past. You can get the stress out of your body. If there's still your past kicking you in the butt, it will keep coming back, keep coming back, keep coming back. Okay? But at least you can get some relief right now. You don't have to wait for us to start working together to have the first session so that you feel the relief. You can already start getting some help by yourself. Okay? That's why I'm sharing this podcast episode, so that I start giving you some links. So what are the ways to get the stress out of your body? My recommendation, suggestion number 1, that I will also link for you in the description, is alternate nostril breathing. You might have heard about it. There are lots of breathing techniques in general. Whichever one you choose, there's so many free resources online. Just Google whatever breathing techniques. It is relieving the stress. Why? It's not just like breathe in and out. Why is it working? Because the moment you slow down your breathing, you give a signal, you give a physical signal to your body, and you can read again the science on this. It's been researched heavily. You give your signal to your body that you're no longer in the fight or flight, because this is where the shallow breathing is coming from. All that cortisol, the stress hormones in your body, you're breathing shallow because your body is ready to start running. Start running or fighting because you feel threatened. That's what the stress is doing to you on a day-to-day basis. That's why it's so dangerous, because it's always in your system. The moment you start working with your breath, you give a signal to your nervous system, I'm safe. That's what you're telling your nervous system. My dear body, I'm safe. So you can stop wasting energy on being ready to fight or flight, run away. You can start using the energy to digest, relax, heal, and repair. Okay. This is the reason why stress is aging you. Because your body is too busy running on overdrive, hyper vigilant, hyper doing. It means it has no energy to repair. Because when you rest, it's not only that you calm down, but your body, your autoimmune system has the time to repair any damage that has been done, which is normally a natural cycle. That's why we sleep. That's the importance of a sleep. That's why it's such a problem if you're having so many sleepless nights with your babies and kids, right? Because your body does not have time to repair. So there are plenty reasons why you should be trying to get as much sleep as possible, but also why you should breathe, because this is what gives the signal to your body, I'm safe, you can stop running and fighting, start digesting and repairing. Okay. Now, out of all the breathing techniques, just my personal recommendation based on what worked the best for me, because as a busy mom, busy woman, I never had the time to, I tried a few times to sit through like meditations and do longer exercises on mindfulness, but sitting half an hour, no, not my jam, not for every day anyways. But this alternate nostril breathing is something that got me even better results than a half an hour meditation within just a few seconds. This is why it's so powerful. That's why I'm sharing with you. It's extremely fast and it gets you to a relaxed state in no time, and it's so effective. It gets you so deep, at least it does with me. That's why I thought it was worth sharing. Because if you're a mom who doesn't have much time, who doesn't want to spend half an hour sitting in a quiet, empty room on your yoga mat, this might be a hack, really, like a quick fix, what you can do. Okay, so I'm going to give you a link. I'm not a professional myself. I'm not going to explain it to you. Also, I wanted to let you know that any of the links that I'm sharing today, I'm not an affiliate. I'm not getting paid. I'm not getting any commission or any bonuses, benefits by sharing the links with you. I'm the consumer like you are. I'm not their business partner. So whatever I'm going to share here with you, it's just really my personal experience, what worked the best for me. Okay. So number 1 was alternate nostril breathing. This is really the most effective, the fastest, I think, out of what I'm going to share with you. It's the fastest. Okay, so this could be your number 1, go-to method to calm down in the moment, to get the stress out of your body so that it stops being there bottled up. Okay, my tip number 2, if you have more than a few seconds, I would highly recommend, if you have at least 15 minutes per day, I would recommend you have a look at Yin Yoga. Yin Yoga is exactly the opposite of the super high achiever, pushy, sweaty yogas and exercise. And what it does, so not only it's like a deep stretch yoga, because you hold the different positions for 3 minutes or even longer, but why it works so beautifully is that it not only stretches your physical body and your joints, your ligaments, stuff that normally doesn't get stretched, but it creates space in your brain. By breathing through the discomfort on the mat, because holding positions for 3 minutes, it is not comfortable, right? You'll be in different twisted positions and it's oh, what the heck, 3 minutes. But you breathe through it, you get used to it, you accept it. Okay, this is where I am for the next 3 minutes. Let me just relax as many muscles as I can. And this is the release, the let go. And that's the mental part of it that I love so much. Because even more than the physical benefits, which was the reason why I started practicing Yin Yoga in the first place, I realized over time that it was giving me the mental benefits. Like, I was cleaning up my head. I was leaving the session, even 15 minutes, I was feeling like, oh my goodness, it's as if I just meditated for 1 hour, which I never could do. But there was so much space and openness and lightness in me. Okay. Classic Yin Yoga classes will take 1 hour, hour and a half, but I have found resources for you. I have found trainers, professionals, teachers who do even like 15-minute bites. I would recommend you do that before you go to sleep, because it will make you much more relaxed and your brain will stop running and bothering you in the middle of the night. Okay, so especially if you have problems falling asleep, for example, or if you wake up in the morning and you still feel like your head is full, it's as if you just picked up where you left off yesterday night. It's good to do the Yin Yoga before you go to sleep so that you clean your head before you fall asleep. Sounds good? So that was the second tip, Yin Yoga. Now, third one will be the exact opposite, HIIT, high intensity interval training. Have you heard about it? Again, it's super efficient, because as a busy mom, running a business, being a mom as much as I can, like spending the time with my daughter, with my family, I hardly ever find like 1 hour to do exercise even at home. Not even talking about going to the gym, because that's even wasting more time to get there, change, come back, blah, blah, blah. No. So I started doing high intensity workout, which are, again, 15, 20 minutes short. Okay. The effect, again, I started doing it for the physical body benefits, because I wanted to increase my metabolism rate and get out of the dieting cycles. And when I felt like the less I was eating and the less sugar and less fat, actually the more I was gaining, because my body was kind of like getting ready for the war, getting ready for the starvation. So the more like soft I was like, no. So I did some research. I started doing the HIIT training. But again, like with the Yin Yoga, I started for physical reasons, but then I realized the mental impact and benefits. And the like my head benefits with the HIIT training is that you literally shake the stress off of your body. Okay. And you can find, this is something that they have observed even in nature with animals. And I love using this example of a Bambi, of a deer or a gazelle who's being chased by a tiger somewhere. Like what they do if the Bambi manages to run away and escape, what they do right after when they're safe, they shake. Or you might have seen that with your dog, for example. Like if they have just had a fell or something, accident, or they just had a fight, the dogs between themselves. What happens when they are apart, they shake like very quickly. They shake it off. This is a stress response, literally shaking the stress off of their bodies. The animals do it so well, naturally. It's like a natural instinct. Why? Because the Bambi doesn't want to stay in the shelter for the rest of her life, because she's traumatized by it, that she just encountered tiger, and she could have died easily. But the Bambi, if she stayed traumatized and hidden, she would starve to death. Right? So this is, and the same with the dog. Like he could have been traumatized and wanted to stay at home and never go out again, because he would be afraid he would get into a fight again. And like being afraid for your life, so you're trying to protect yourself, so you stay in your shell. And I'm working with lots of hypervigilant moms who have the same reaction, like who have this trauma of I'm not safe, so I need to stay in my shell. And it's not that they stay at home and never go out again, but they carry that shell around them. It's a trauma response. So one of the first things, if it's just something that happened now, and it might be the little stresses, not even traumas, but the little stresses of the day compiled, it's the best to shake it off literally. And that's why the HIIT training is so great. So for me, my job is doing trauma sessions all day long. You have no idea of the garbage, of all the pain and everything that I hear from my clients, like all the terrible things that happen to them, that sometimes even the closest people did to them, like the people who were supposed to protect them and love them, take care of them, they were hurting them the most in a most like ways you cannot even imagine. I hear stories like this every day. I'm healing it, I'm helping it, but I don't forget it. So to make sure that it doesn't stay in my system and then I don't start thinking like this world is such a screwed up place, holy moly, I have to shake it off. So especially in my busiest days and when I have the most sessions, I always block time at the end of my workday to do the HIIT training, to jump, because it's high intensity. You jump, you like kickbox, you do whatever, burpees and jumping jacks and stuff, to shake it off, because I don't want to bring that energy to the next part of my day, which is when I go to pick up my daughter at school or now at the summer camp. I don't want to bring that energy and to keep like hanging, the dark cloud keep hanging over my head. I want to leave it right here on the mat, like doing my training, sweat it out, take a shower, wash it off, so that I'm clean physically and mentally when I go to pick my daughter up. So that I don't carry any of that stress and trauma that I just heard and work through with my clients, so that I don't bring it and don't dump it on my daughter, right? Because this is the emotional vomit garbage that I sometimes talk about. This is what we do on our kids, right? Sometimes it's not even about what they do. It might be like a little thing. They spilled something or they broke something by accident. It was not their intention. They were not being mean, but they just had an accident. And you you overreact inappropriately because it's not about them, what they just did, but all of that stress and pressure in your body needed some outlet. And this was it. This was your safest way how to vomit it out. So you vomit it on your kid. No. I just gave you 3 ways how you can get rid of it and take care of it in a safe way yourself. So number 1, alternate nostril breathing. That's the smallest amount of time, 30 seconds, 1 minute at a time, no excuse. You can do that. Everybody can do that. So go get that link, learn it. It's very fast. Alternate nostril breathing. Number 2, Yin Yoga. 15 minutes. You don't have to do it every day. It's not something to be done every day, but especially at the end of the heavy day, before you go to sleep, doing this will clean up your head so that you go to sleep and you rest. Your body can repair. Third tip was the HIIT training, to shake it off, literally shake the stress out of your body. Again, it's not something for every day. You shouldn't do it 7 days out of 7 because it is energy draining at first. Then you get all the endorphins, it feeds you back, you feel energized. But if you don't have any energy to start with, if you've had a physically, emotionally heavy day, HIIT will not be your thing. Because you just feel like if you're dragging your feet, if you barely can stand up, naturally, of course, logically, this will not be your go-to thing, okay? But in the days when you have it and when you want to shake it off, just so that you don't bring it to your kids, it's a great complement for a few times a week, okay? So these are the 3 tips of what you can do by yourself. And I'm sharing it also because I shared it with the clients who are working with me inside the Zen Supermom program. Every month we have a theme that we go through as a community. And July, the month of July, was the month of getting the stress out of the body. So I also shared it with them. There were lots of aha moments. I was getting lots of notes about how people are practicing and which of these 3 is resonating the most with them. And it just proved to me that yes, it's not just me, but it's my clients as well. It works for them beautifully. So that's why I thought, well, maybe it's a good idea to share that with you too and see what sticks. See what helps you. So this episode is full of links. Go get lost in the rabbit holes if you want. If you want to skip the line and save your time, and you know that this has been a problem, you have been accumulating stress in your body, you do realize now, because you might have listened to already some of my previous episodes or you've seen some of my content, that yes, indeed, there is a childhood trauma that you have gone through. Now you see the effects of it, that the stress is just the symptom, and you just want to get started working on that, on the root cause. You're done like treating the symptoms, just like, okay, it's nice what you shared, how to get the stress out of the body, but I want to get it out of my system, out of the roots, and you want to do it effectively and quickly. without spending time going through the rabbit holes and doing it DIY. So then just reach out to me, send me an email. Okay. What I'm going to do, I'm going to ask you a few questions just to check if it's urgent enough for you to do it. I'm going to ask, well, what are the situations when it shows up? How old are your kids? And what is it that you already know about your childhood trauma? Was it the developmental trauma, like what I had, the not good enough, good girl, pleaser, like the victim of a supermom, basically, yelling mom? Or was there also a mixed up, some kind of shock trauma? So was there any sexual violence, abuse, any really dramatic shock event throughout your childhood or teenage years that might have made it whole even worse? Okay, because based on that, I don't need to know everything and all your story, all the skeletons in the closet, but just high level enough so that I can see how much of that trauma work you will need. Because normally within my Zen Supermom program, there are 5 trauma sessions, one-on-one included with me. I'm going to be extending my team very soon, so there will be coaches working with me who are trained in the same methods and who I will train in my methods on top. But so far it's been just me, myself, and I. And there are 5 sessions included in the Zen Supermom program. Because if it's been only, quote to quote, the developmental trauma, like what I used to have, that you grew up with, something similar, 5 sessions will be more than enough. We can do that easily in 5 sessions, okay? If there was a sexual abuse, any kind of heavy shock trauma on top, we might need more than 5, okay? Logically. Like the more trauma there is, the more time we will need. But please, no, this is not a matter of long months or not even years. Okay, I work in exactly the opposite way as the classic talk therapist that will have you sign up for years. I have had clients who worked with therapists like for 4 or 5 years and they still kept coming every week. No, I don't want to make you dependent on me. My intention is to make you self-sufficient and independent as fast as possible. Every session that we meet, I can take out one layer of the trauma. Sometimes we are able to go straight in if it's something clear, like what happened, take it out and heal it in one session. Okay, so that within those 5, you're ready to go. Moreover, because most of my clients want their sessions recorded, then they can go back to the recording and apply the same method, because I explain them always at the end of the session. What is it that we did exactly step by step and why? So that then they can use it the next time they are facing a similar challenge, okay? Or they want to go and clean up another kind of trauma that was very similar. They know how. They can do it by themselves. And then the next time we can just check in through email or through Facebook voice message when they tell me what's up, and I just send them a short message back and they can continue on their own. The sooner I make you independent and healed, the better I know I did my job. Yes, clients stay with me in membership afterwards. I have clients who have stayed with me for now 1.5 years. But that's just because they keep getting better. So they are no longer yelling at anybody. Not at their kids, not at work, not at their husbands. They are good. But they have now new goals. They want to go even higher. They want to stop being triggered by their brothers, sisters. They want to go and clean up another trauma. They want to go and clean up their diet, their eating, because by the way, it's all related. If you keep putting on weight, sometimes it's because you want to be safe, not be seen, don't want to be abused again. There's oftentimes sexual abuse or trauma there. There's so many things we can be cleaning up. That's the next stage. That's why they stay with me. But the beginning of it, the core of why you're yelling at your kids, this we can do it in 5 sessions easily. Okay, so reach out, get my help. Let's talk about it if you would be a good fit, so that I know if I could help you too. And let's do it. Let's not wait. Okay, so I hope this was helpful. I hope you will have fun. Let me know which of these methods that I shared with you to get the stress out of your body, which of them you love the most. And if you have any new ones, if you have anything that I haven't, I'm sure there's tons of things, tons of other things. If there's something that you love doing and that you want to share with me, then yeah, send me a message. I would love to hear from you. Wishing you a stress-free, calm day, Supermom. Take care.